Greetings and welcome back to another episode of His Will for Your Life. I'm your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and I'm not sure if we're going to have a show tonight, but anyway, I am here and we have a guest to be on is Chief Shelly Carter, who will join us on the topic Women in Leadership Roles. Hopefully, she'll be here by the time we do our credits, but please like, tag, and share this podcast, and we'll be right back.
His will for your life with Shelly Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topic, testimony, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Shelly Harris.
Greetings and welcome back to His Will for Your Life. I am your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and we have no guests tonight. And so if any women are out there who would like to be a guest on the show now, I can send you the link and we can have some dialogue. If not, for a few minutes anyway, I will answer any questions that you may have for me as the host, as a woman. Since this is Women History Month, and we are celebrating women. So I would love to hear from you. Please send me some comments or either ask to be on, and you can join me right now live on screen if you so choose. Well, looks like we have a guest.
Holy cow, I apologize.
That's okay. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I think I'm doing a little better than you.
Around like a crazy lady. That's how I do things these days.
Yeah, well, that's the topic, women in leadership roles and how they manage. So this is perfect.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to give you an opportunity to share with our guests who you are, for those who don't know, and what you do.
Sure. So I am Shelly Carter. I'm a mom. I have 5 amazing sons. I'm a wife to an amazing husband who retired from the fire service after 25 years. His name is Brainard, the love of my life. And
Okay.
I am currently the fire chief for DDS, Fire and Emergency Services. I am the first and only Black female fire chief in New England, we believe, but definitely in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I joined the fire service back in 1999. I came in as a structural firefighter, so I ran firefighter calls up until I promoted to driver. Then I promoted to lieutenant. Then I promoted to captain and left the fire service after 22 years and decided to work for Division of Emergency Management Homeland Security. Worked there for about 1.5 years and left there and became the current fire chief.
Whew. You've done it all.
Oh.
So we didn't get a chance because we don't really know each other outside of Facebook friends. And so the 15 minutes I usually get to know my guests if I don't know them. So we weren't able to do that. So we just gonna talk. It's a relaxed setting. I'm
Okay.
not gonna ask you anything that you don't know,
Okay.
right? And so I do have some questions prepared for you. And
Hmm.
actually, you're the first person I have these many questions for.
Oh, no problem. Let's make it happen.
Yes, yes. So I just want to congratulate you first of all on being chief. You know that has to be an accomplishment, and so I congratulate you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're
I
welcome. So,
not
mhm,
wanting to be the fire chief. It was not the goal, but it just happened. I ended up being here, so it's pretty amazing.
mhm. And that must have been his plan for you, right?
Absolutely.
That's his plan. What led you to become a firefighter, and how did you rise through the ranks of becoming chief?
Oh my goodness. So what made me become a firefighter? I did not want to be a firefighter.
No.
Oh, no. Never even thought about it.
Oh,
Never went
wow.
there. Didn't know anyone in the fire service. Had no all I knew was red chucks and sirens and move out of the way.
Mm,
Was driving. And so when I turned 27, 28, I had my son, and we were walking down the street. I was taking him for a walk in the stroller, and we walked past a firehouse. He was, I believe,
mhm,
3 or 4 at the time, and he went crazy over the fire truck because the guys were out on the ramp, probably doing their
mm,
checks and stuff. And the guys were like, "Bring your son over," and I'm like, "No, it's okay. I don't want. You guys are super
mhm.
important, and I don't want to disturb your importantness." And so,
Right.
and they were like, they talked me into bringing him over, and they were playing with my son. And while I was standing there, the gentleman said to me, "Did you ever think about becoming a firefighter?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm the girliest girl I know." And yeah, no. And he literally talked
Wow.
in an hour about how I could become a firefighter and how they were looking for women in Hartford, and I really had no desire. I went home
Mhm.
and told there's someone at my house, and I told them, I said, "Hey, this guy was telling me about joining the fire department," and that person looked at me and laughed. And he said, "You never passed the test anyway," and I was like, "Excuse me."
Whoa.
And so I called my sister Vanessa, and I was like, "Vanessa, just they were telling me about this fire job," and that she worked at the time for the chief of police. And she was like, "Take the test, Shelly. Take the test." I'm like, I can't. They're not gonna hire me anyway. I'm a girl, literally.
Mhm,
That.
mhm,
And she said, "Shelly, you need to take the test." And so I did. I took the police and fire test, and I said, whichever one I come out better on, I will. Um, I'll look into, not
mhm.
take the job, just look into it.
Right.
I came out better on the fire test, and I was
Okay.
okay, and I took the job, and I was like, well, let's give it a try, because why not? And I began working. I went through boot camp with 16 weeks of extremely difficult training, the hardest thing I've ever
Mhm,
had of giving birth to my children, I say.
mm,
It was very difficult because remember, I had zero knowledge. Um,
mhm,
I was learning from scratch, and I learned my job, got on the department, began to understand the processes. It was hard for me because I was kind of behind the 8 ball because I did not have that legacy knowledge or that inside
mhm,
knowledge and skills and all that. So I just had to
mhm,
apply. And then once I really kind of understood the process,
mhm,
then I was like, oh, okay, it's time for me to promote. It's time for me to learn, really understand, and to take that leadership position that I knew I had within me,
mhm.
but it was not um, nurtured in my department at the time. But I
Okay.
language, and I was like, let's do this. I'm gonna be a fire chief one day.
Wow. That's amazing. And
Thank
so that word no was your motivator.
and still is today.
Yes, mine too. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Absolutely,
Right.
yes.
What do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing women in firefighting, and how do you address those challenges in your department?
So major challenges in the fire service is the fact that there are only 4% female in the fire service across the country.
Wow.
So that means it's 96.
Wow.
The major challenge is there are women who would be amazing firefighters or have careers in the fire service, and they just don't know.
Mhm.
Don't understand the process, just like I didn't understand it. And to this day, I don't care if you watch Chicago Fire or anything like that. It's a totally different thing once you are actually in it. And so what I tell women who I meet every day, if I see someone that I'm like, man, she would be good, whether it's a cashier at the grocery store or
Mhm.
a person walking down the street, I stop her and I go, hey, you ever thought about becoming a firefighter? And so the challenge is getting them to say, let me look into it.
Mm.
And because the other part to that is you can't be what you can't see. And
Mhm.
so Shelly Carter recruiting a female versus Jim Smith recruiting a female, not saying that it's impossible. It's just because Jim Smith recruited me, if you will, the fictitious name.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
but Shelly Carter recruiting her gives her the ins and outs of everything that can happen in her career path. And so, unless you have that mentor,
Mhm.
or to see yourself in the position.
Wow. Thank you.
Sure.
How do you balance the physical demands of firefighting with the administrative responsibilities of being a chief?
So unfortunately, um,
Mhm.
I am no longer operational, if you will. Uh,
Okay.
my career has put me in a position of administration, and
Okay.
um, and it doesn't change the fact that it's extremely stressful,
Mhm.
and change the fact that at a emergency scene or uh, a structure fire or anything like that, at that point
Mhm.
and am capable of taking command of that scene, which is extremely stressful. And so the physical demands are being physically fit, of course,
Mhm.
but getting enough rest,
Okay.
sleeping at night, because as a firefighter in operations, when I left my department in Hartford, I know one of my firehouses, we ran 24 calls in a 24-hour period sometimes, some
Mm.
days. And so I was up all night. And for 22 years, almost of my career, I was up all night, or my sleep patterns were just gone. There was no sleep pattern. And
Mhm.
being able to rest and bring my body under subjection of sleep and rest is still different
Mhm.
for me. And so it's real important to physically take time for yourself, physically get that mental health check that you need, the demands of what we see every day in the fire service,
Mhm.
and the crime scenes or the scenes of the fires or the deaths or the tragedies, because you have to remember people call us on the absolute worst days of their lives most of the time.
Mm.
And so, whether it's dealing with a upset, screaming, crying family member, or looking at the body that's on the ground, unfortunately,
Mhm.
for that child that's been hurt, or that senior, or whomever the case might be, it's
Mhm.
mentally demanding and stressful. And so, therapy, absolutely. Um, just
Mhm.
fitness, absolutely, and getting the proper rest that you need is super important.
Mm. Thank you for that. Thank you. What advice would you give a young woman who's interested in becoming a firefighter or either in a firefighting leadership position?
So the fire service holds so many different opportunities. Um,
Okay.
Firefighting is just one component of the fire service. It literally is just one component. Um,
Wow.
EMTs, paramedicine, EMS, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Fire marshaling. You could be a fire marshal. We have our special services unit where folks who are displaced or have no longer have their home because of an incident, whatever the incident is,
Mhm.
making sure those people are properly and well taken care of. That's another component in the fire service. We have mechanics. We have
Wow.
IT folks who are firefighters. We have fire marshals, I think I said. So there's several different, we have public information officers, and even me moving into the emergency management field. And so
Mhm.
not just running into burning buildings. And so that's what I tell women when I meet them. Listen, you can do this. Not all firefighters run into burning buildings. Somebody has to fix the truck. Someone has to take care of the sick and elderly, or those who are hurt. Someone has to check the fire alarm panels. You know what I mean? And so it's real important that we understand that, you join the fire service, you get on the job, but there's so many different career paths that you can take that you don't. I mean, of course, everybody. Listen, I loved going inside. What? That is the top adrenaline rush. Holy cow!
Right.
I want operational. Give me the nozzle. Let me go inside. Let me do what I do. But as I got older, those let me do what I do's was don'ts. you know,
Right. Right.
no, it's battering on your body, but if you can, create a path, an education in the fire service of different areas that might interest you, why not? And
Mm.
hey, holy cow, you know what I'm saying? You can't beat it. It's the best job ever.
Thank you. One of my favorite shows is 911. And as as much as I watch that show, one with Angela Bassett, because there's a few of
Hmm.
them, I do see that one of them is like a doctor, but I didn't think about all those other components as much as I watched that show. So thank you for sharing that piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you balance your roles as mother, wife, chief, and entrepreneur?
I did mention in the beginning, and I should have, that I run a girls firefighter camp.
Oh, that's why I brought it up. I did my research.
I teach young ladies about careers in public safety. Um,
Yeah.
and so, out of all of the hats I wear, I
Mhm.
the most important is my family's. So,
Mm.
mom is still with me. I'm blessed and grateful to God every day that my mom is still with us. Um,
Mhm.
my husband and my children are the reason why I breathe, literally. And so my boys, I'm proud that they can see a woman in this position.
Mhm.
Honest, they don't really care if the food ain't on the table. and you know what I mean? It's like, okay, what's for dinner? So they don't call me chief in my house. They call me mom and wife. And so I make
Mhm.
sure that I carve out time with my husband, who
Mhm.
king of my home. Like this, he was a firefighter. Gratefully, he understands the role that I hold and the responsibility
Mhm.
that I have. But I try to leave that outside the house. And
Mhm.
some of it spills over because he understands my role as a fire chief. Uh, but when it's Shelly and B's time, it's our time. And then when it's mommy and my boys' time, it's our time. And so my phones go in my purse. And like my husband and I went out to dinner just the other night, and he wanted to watch the basketball game or something on his phone because some game was.
Uh-huh.
But it was like no phone night, and we were together. I mean, of course, if there's an emergency, my staff knows how to reach me. But my most important role are my boys. Now, when I have to be chief and in charge at the fire department, then that's who I.
Mhm.
But being a female, I believe, and not all women are the same, of course. But being a
Mhm.
female fire chief is a little bit different simply because we do have that nurturing ability.
Mhm.
And so I'm strong and brave and hardcore when I need to be, but I can also be that soft, gentle person that listens and hears you. And not everyone has that ability, but I believe being a woman, and this is just my personal opinion, it's not across,
Mhm.
but being a woman kind of gives that
Mhm.
ability to change up roles when I need to. And then of course my walk with God. I
All
believe
right.
God is the source. He is my source, and He gives me the strength, and
Mhm.
I need to handle all of this. I didn't mention that I am in school getting my doctorate,
Okay.
and
Awesome.
I'm just grateful that God has given me this ability, but I don't
Mhm.
take for granted the people that have helped me to get where I am. First of all, of course, my mom and my sisters, my dad and my brother in heaven now, and then of course my husband and my children, and then my mentor.
Mhm. That is wonderful news.
Thank you.
Yes, that's wonderful. So before I go on with my questions, I just want to pause and I want you to talk about your camp for young girls.
Okay, so Girls Future Firefighter Camp is
Mhm.
my baby. I started it with my friend Christina Burkert, friend and
Mhm.
sister. She is in Tennessee now, but she is a rock star. She was a fire chief in the volunteer sector when we started the camp, and we both saw the need to
Mhm.
empower young ladies to look into careers of fire and emergency services. So the camp is a program that teaches girls age 13 to 18 all of the things that I've touched as a firefighter. And so literally from the CPAT the physical agility test where you have to get into the departments, to going through physical fitness and nutrition,
Mhm.
to becoming an operation, so advancing hose lines and understanding what that equipment is, to ladder truck op,
Mhm.
to EMS. Everything I've done in my career, I touch on in this camp. So the young ladies get
Mhm.
to see, and it's a physical camp. So we have class
Mhm.
work in the beginning, and then we explain all this stuff to them, all the information about what our equipment is and what it's used for and why we use it, and so on and so forth. And then after that, we take them outside and we let them use it. So they have their own turnout gear, they have their own helmets and boots, and they have, we make sure that they understand in a safe place with a bunch of women and our brother allies who come together and answer questions for these girls. It was important for me to create this program simply because at year 15 in my career, I looked around and I was like, man, 15 years, I could leave in 5 if I wanted to, and how
Mhm.
I impacted my community.
Mm.
And not just being a firefighter, not just taking, but also giving. And so
Mhm.
the program is free to young ladies. I will never charge for Girls Future Firefighter Camp. And, it's to give young ladies the opportunity to just look into the fire service, but also to empower them and to make sure that they understand that they are brave and that they are
Mm.
strong and that they can be girly girls if they want,
Mhm.
or they can be hardcore if they want. Because let me just tell you,
Mhm.
I love shoe shopping at Nordstrom's, yes. And I buy dresses and my hats for church, yes.
Yes.
But off, I can crawl down a burning hallway. You know what I mean?
You better go, girl.
And that's and when women really understand that they can be mom and be cute and pretty and sexy if you want, but you can also fight fires, how much more empowerment do you need? Like, jeez,
Mm.
you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How can one join up for your program?
So, Girls Future Firefighter Camp on our website. We actually need to update it because our camps are coming up for the summer, and they will be updated very soon. You just keep an eye on the website, which is www.girls with an S, girls future firefightercamp.com. And or you can also email girlsfuturefirefightercamp@gmail.com, and we will send you back the information. We have about three or four camps this year, and so again, it's free. And let me just say this to the parents or the adults that are watching: if you mention this to your daughter or your niece or your cousin or your girl, whoever, she's going to be like, I don't want to be a firefighter, like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want that. But let me just explain. Most of the time, a lot of the girls are they're not interested in the program because it's a scary, like, how, when you think about it, at 14, who thinks, most of the time, especially in our communities, like, who wants to be a firefighter? That's ridiculous. I don't want to die. But let me just tell you, you're not going to die, number one. But if mom or auntie or grandmom or dad looks into the program and brings their daughter or whoever the young lady in their life, she will absolutely fall in love with it. Every young lady that has gone through my program has always asked to come back. And that's simply because you have a tribe, a wolf pack of women that are
Mm.
to mentor her from the time she walks in the door. We had a young lady that stood in the hallway crying that she did not.
Mm.
Now she's a student instructor. Okay.
Really
Yes. So
awesome.
I'm saying to the adult in the room, please just say, listen, this is something that's going to be good for you, because it really is good for her.
Great. I was going to ask, what do they do after they age out so they can become instructors?
So yes, we do have junior instructors. So if they've gone through the program once, probably more like twice, we
Mm-hmm.
because we can see that not everyone does it, of course, but we can see that they're
Right.
more interested in the program, and we make them
Mm-hmm.
instructors, and we give them leadership roles in the camp, because you can't be what you can't see.
Mm.
So the whole idea is to ensure not just the women and adults in the space, but the young ladies who are 17, 18, who are giving them instruction. How empowering is that for that 18-year-old as well as
Mm-hmm.
old. And then the 18-year-old moves on to the female instructor that's standing next to her. So it's not just for the kids, it's for the adults in the space as well. And then usually once they get to that age, they're looking into colleges or trades or whatever they want to do. And we have filled out um, recommendation letters, and we've sent recommendations to universities or to other jobs, or when they
Mm.
were looking into join other fire departments. I just literally filled out a recommendation the other day for a young lady that's interested in being in the department. So we are in her life for the rest of her life.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do, and
Thank
especially for our young women. That's powerful. But I love the words you just said. You can't become what you don't.
Exactly. It's real important. My dear friend and sister Verdi Allen, Chief Allen from the Chicago Fire Department, she comes to my camp every year, and
Wow,
her words: "You cannot be what you cannot see."
that's amazing. I like that. I'm gonna have to adopt that.
Hmm.
Um, what challenges have you faced as a female leader in a male-dominant field such as firefighting and entrepreneurship?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. So some of the challenges are um, just having to prove myself a lot,
Mm.
and you know there are a lot of folks a lot of my male brothers in the fire service who are just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing, who have mentored me and guided me, and have said this is what you need to do, this is how you need to handle this or whatever. But then I have some other people, male or females, in the fire service who basically were like, you don't belong, or you have no knowledge, or you can't learn. And it's disheartening, because even if I failed at something, even if I didn't do well at something, I'm not talking safety,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about testing processes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It should not be the time and opportunity for you to pounce on. It should be the time, let's learn and grow together in this process. And the fire service has not always done that for me. Now, I can't say that about other women. I can only talk about my personal experiences. And so it has been a struggle sometimes when I didn't understand things. I didn't know that I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And it was the challenge was, being put out on Front Street. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're incapable. But what folks don't realize, that those words, that you're not capable or you can't do it, was nothing but fuel. I was like, and it takes me all the way back. That's why I believe God is real. Let me just explain.
Yes,
Let me
yes, yes.
out, because what I heard when I first started the fire service, I've heard in the fire service
Mm-hmm.
before I took the test, when that person at my home said you can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that was my motivator. And every time someone said in my career, she can't do that. What are you crazy? You can't do that. And it was like, oh, please. Like, did you get it yet? That the minute you say that, I'm going to seek and scratch and claw and find a way. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been told, I was told about my girls camp, you could never put on a girls firefighter camp. You can't do that. Really? Like, stop, And so the challenge is just, and sometimes as a female leader, I'm sure males as well, but in my life, it just gets tiring. Like, I get exhausted. It's like, because I'm
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
always fighting, and I always have to be on guard of
Mm.
making sure that not one thing is that doing my job and doing it well, but also, if I mess up or make a mistake, I own up to it and say it out loud. And why do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So that the young lady that's
Mm-hmm.
watching me can
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what? She just told everybody she's just screwed up. Yep, I'm going to tell you, because if you think everything that I have done in my career has been perfect, then I am doing a disservice to you. It was
Wow.
hard. I have cried. I have quit. I was like, I'm
Mm.
going back. I'm gonna cut you out. I'm gonna run you over my car. Whatever I can. Don't let me
Mm.
find you in a dark alley. Like, the whole, to the point of saying, God, why are you torturing me? But
Mm-hmm.
all of that has led me to where I am today. And so know that it's not easy, and it still isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only, every
Mm.
time I walk into a space, normally, most of the time, I'm the only Black woman in the space. It is my responsibility sitting in this space. It is my responsibility, no one else's,
Mhm.
to ensure
Mhm.
that the young lady that's working in that firehouse right now today, or working in the EMS or emergency management, it is my responsibility to ensure that she understands
Mhm.
that she is not alone.
Mhm.
And I will create, if I have to do it by myself, but I know I don't, a pathway. So if you have a question, call me. I got an answer. And if I don't have the answer, there's a woman in Texas, there's a woman in Charlotte, there's a woman in New Haven, and in Chicago. We gonna all get together and answer that question for you. Yes,
Awesome. Awesome. And it helps when we are transparent. So
yes.
that's good that you share that with them. So thank you on their behalf.
Thank
How
you.
have you overcome gender biases in your career choice?
Have I overcome gender bias? I don't
How
know.
have you overcome? Oh, you haven't. So
I,
okay.
I don't know. Have I overcome gender bias? I don't know. Just the fact that I'm here and I'm present,
Mhm.
going anywhere. And so overcoming the gender bias, there's organizations out there now. I sit on boards with FEMA and with the emergency management, with the Fire Service International Women in Fire organization, um, the International Association of Fire Chiefs. There are several boards that I sit on to ensure that the voice of a female in the fire service is heard, and that the voice of a Black female firefighter in the fire service is heard. And so um, it's important for me to understand that I hold huge responsibility for
Mhm.
look like me
Mhm.
and for people who are watching.
Mhm.
So when I was interviewing for my fire chief's job, I interviewed several different departments. I went across the country. I interviewed several different departments. A few of those jobs or departments I knew or I didn't want. I was like, I don't really
Mhm.
work here. But when I went into those spaces, uh, you, I can't. Usually, I was the only person of color in that space for that interview, whether it was with the mayor, whether it was the city council, city manager, fire commission, whoever was there. I was representing an articulate, educated woman who was capable and could run a fire department in that city, state, or town. And so I hold that responsibility high and dear because
Mhm.
I'm going to say, and I'll put it out there on a limb, but I believe this in my heart that I went into those spaces to represent women who um, did not have a voice. So,
Mhm.
so it would not be a shock to the system the next time they look for a fire chief.
Mhm.
They will now consider, oh, wait a minute, there has been a Black female in my presence who was very educated and capable for the position, and it's
Mhm.
so important to me.
Whew, that was good.
Thank you,
How, how do you prioritize your time and responsibility?
girl. You know what? This one, ask my husband that question.
Okay.
Actually, uh, my husband says you have no um, ability or understanding of time, Shelly. You know what? The whole I apologize.
No problem.
So the whole idea is my time. It. I keep a calendar. Of course, I have to. I don't have a choice.
Mhm.
I apologize. She keeps calling.
That's okay. They see you on live. I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So my time is spent with prioritizing. First of all, in the mornings when I get up and I pray.
Mm.
I open the Word of God and I say, okay, what do you need from me today? And that in itself, I believe helps lead and guide me for the day. Then, my kids, I'll get up and make breakfast if or make some type of oatmeal or something for my kids and my husband. And is unless I get up late, but I'll make something for them to and just make it with love, and just say I
Mm.
want to make sure your tummies are full with love, and then I'm out the door going to be the fire chief somewhere or going to a meeting. Or luckily, I have a great administrative assistant who
Mhm.
is phenomenal that manages my calendar at work. But like I said, I'm on a few different boards, so I make sure that I don't have too many things piled on at the same time.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, today was just one of those crazy days, but
Mhm.
uh, want to make sure that I manage leaving time for myself and leaving time for my children and my husband. Um,
Mhm.
so, and my church, you know, and so it's difficult. I'm spread thin a lot, but
Mhm.
when I get to that spot, my husband will pull my coattail, or my sons will be like, "Man, I haven't seen you in a day or two," you know, and it kind of smacks me back into reality. But I really work hard to keep a calendar. I really rely heavily on my administrative assistant, of course. And then
Mhm.
with my girls' camp, luckily, I have just pulled together a board at last year. So all
Okay.
the responsibility is not on me. So delegate, delegate, delegate. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
Yes,
And it
that's
works. And
wonderful.
are able to help with my younger sons. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, y'all got
Mhm.
responsibilities too, you know?
Mhm.
So
Mhm. That's
yeah.
great. Thank you for that advice. And sometimes we find it challenging as leaders to delegate,
Right.
and
It
that's
is.
something we talked about last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. What advice do you have for other women aspiring to be leaders in their field? So we're talking about you as just being a leader. How would you inspire other women?
I would say you already are a leader.
Mm,
You already are a leader. You already are that. If this is where your heart's desire is, then you're already halfway there. I
mm,
would say trust your ability,
mhm,
and try super hard not to doubt the amazingness that's inside of you. And it's easy to doubt. It's easy to say, I failed this one thing. I'm gonna back up and leave it to the experts. Well, guess what? You are
mhm,
the expert. Any failure
mm.
puts you closer to your goal.
Wow.
And so the leader in you is pushing you closer to your goal every single time you go out the door. And you, even if it's 30 minutes of improvement on what you learned from yesterday, it pushes you to that goal. And
Mm,
so stand up and be the leader that you are. Stand up and be that person that you have inside of you that maybe was suppressed because you
mhm,
chose to be a mom, or you chose to be a wife, or you chose to go in a different career path because you had to pay the bills. It doesn't
mhm.
change the fact that you're still a leader.
Right.
So growing up in the church, my mom was a minister. She was a pastor. She had a church. And I did a lot of her church administration work. A lot of it. I ran conferences and things like that, right? Then I went off to college and went into journalism. I wanted to be a news anchor. That was my goal. Um,
Mhm,
God had other plans, right? Then
mhm,
I joined the fire service. And, the fire service is a paramilitary organization.
mm,
Well, I knew how to run things.
mhm,
I was running things at 15, 16, 17 years old, 20 years old. I knew how to run things, but
mhm,
it needed to grow and it needed to prosper. And so moving forward, 20 years later, that information, that same information that I had at 15 was there. And now I'm
mm,
used to 50 something. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't change. You're a leader when you're born a leader. You know what I'm saying? Or
mm, mhm,
when you feel like that you are capable of doing it, do it. And if you mess up, great. You know how
mhm,
amazing it is to fail? Women don't
mhm,
understand how important it is to fail.
mm,
Do it. Take the leap. Like, close your eyes, hold your nose, and jump. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? And then if you
Yeah.
fail, it's okay, you learned from it and you keep moving. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So as we close, I
Okay.
want you to take us through the life of an African American female chief.
Oh
The day in
Lord.
the life, the day in the life of an African American female chief.
Okay. Like I said, in the morning, first thing I do is
Mhm.
pray, read my
Mhm.
Bible, make sure that I write down some of my thoughts. I write down information about what's in my spirit and in my heart that I
Mhm.
want God to look at, right?
Okay.
And then I get up, I make sure my boys are good, and I will go downstairs and make some breakfast for them, and make sure that they are good for school. Make sure my honey is good for leaving to go to work, and they're all set. Then I have to fly like a lunatic to get ready for work and head off to the office. In that process, I might have a training class that I need to take, or I could be headed off to a fire marshal meeting or some type of fire chiefs meeting. The phone call I make on my drive to wherever I'm going is to my administrative assistant. What do I have going on today? And what's the priority? She helps me with that. I arrive at the
Mhm.
firehouse and sift through the 100 emails that I get in a day or a week, and prioritize those most important things that I need to handle. Check in with my boss because everyone has a boss, someone's in charge of something, right? My boss, who is phenomenal, has worked with me to make sure that I am comfortable and understand my job and train and mentor me as well. And but then on top of that, once I talk to my folks, my staff, whatever is happening, um, I continue to do my schoolwork some days when I have schoolwork.
Mhm.
I on some boards, so I might have some board meetings. And then I jump in the car at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and call my honey and go, okay, okay, I'm coming home. And
Wow.
so dinner's ready or not ready. And when it comes, or if it's not ready, sometimes the pizza shop is our favorite place, and we'll
Mhm.
grab some pizzas. And I come in the house and try to decompress, asking my boys about how their day was, and
Mhm.
then at the end of the day, laying down with my honey and trying to get some rest
Wow. That's a full day.
every day, every day.
And that's every day.
That's every day. That's what it looks like. Yes.
So how do you manage that? Because I've taken um courses and I've taken a break from going for my doctorate as well. And so I know the papers and the
It is
studying
not.
piece of that is not for the weak. And so for you to be able to navigate through that is just amazing.
I have a village of amazing folks
Mhm.
that will come and grab my boys if I need them
Mhm.
to, or that will help me in, critiquing or editing a paper.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's painful when I get a D on it.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, so I have a village of folks. My husband, like I said, is a huge supporter. I could not do this without him. He retired from the fire service, but he has a part-time job. But his focus is making sure our boys are good, and he does a phenomenal job at that. And for that, I'm so so grateful that God blessed me with a man that absolutely adores Shelly Carter.
Come on now.
Yes.
That is wonderful. So, as we end this awesome interview, I want you to leave some takeaways that we can just hold on to. You've already given some great nuggets, but just something that you want to say from your heart to us.
um, this is so important to me, is that we always continue to grow and learn.
Mm-hmm.
Never too old to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is impossible. Nothing. Trust in who you are and trust who God made you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And just depend on yourself. Don't look to depend on anyone else. No one's coming to save you unless you're on fire and we call the fire department. Outside of that, you are on your own. And guess what? You can do it. You can do it. Rose Camp's logo is I can be anything. I am confident, courageous, strong. You are confident, you're courageous, and you are strong. Trust it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chief
Thank you.
Shelly Carter. I appreciate you. First time I got to sit down and talk with you, and hopefully this will not be the last time that we sit down and chat.
Absolutely.
This has been a wonderful interview, and thank you so much. And I know that you're busy, and I know this time now belongs to your family, so thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much for
so
having
much.
me. The
You're
love.
welcome.
Keep growing and learning, my friend.
Yes, ma'am. Please join us next week as we continue on in Women's History Month, and we're going to have Pastor Lydia Ford, who will be with us next week. And her topic is not coping in life, but winning. So please come back and join us next week. I've almost called you Pastor Shelley. Isn't that something?
Girl. Take that back.
Woo! Want me to take it out the atmosphere? Chief Shelley, thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, you too. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. Just don't stay in that. So have a great evening.
Please join us again next week for another riveting, informative segment of His Will for Your Life.